Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. Before I get going, I want to remind you, if you want to join the group, which includes no advertising and you get extended videos every day, go to daixrp.com to join through the Patreon, or you can click below my YouTube videos, this join button right here, and you can join through YouTube. It's just another option, cost of a cup of coffee. Do it. There's a lot of interesting stuff I cover in there, and tomorrow is going to be really interesting. Okay, gold surges as high as 3,055, just shy of record highs, amid relentless physical stockpiling as banks capitulate, raise price targets. Goldman to 3,300, Bank of America to 3,500. Now, about that gold, folks, I'm telling you, this whole sell gold to buy Bitcoin. If there was ever a psyop, it's a psyop. I'm telling you, write it down. We may never be. We probably will never be told the truth on this, but that's exactly what this is. And words mean things. She's not talking about physical gold. She's talking about gold certificates, paper.
We could take our gold certificates, which are currently held at the Federal Reserve on the books at their 1974 value, which is $42 an ounce. Now, most of us know that gold has gone closer to 3,000 an ounce. So if we took those gold certificates, not physical gold, let's keep our physical gold.
Yeah.
Let's take the gold certificates,
the real
bring
gold,
them up to current fair market value.
Let's take the fake gold and convert it to Bitcoin.
Into Bitcoin. Other possibilities that we were just discussing in the back room that are really exciting is the United States has energy producing assets. Let's use those to convert the energy production capabilities of the United States government to producing Bitcoin. That's another way that we can convert our royalties that we usually get in cash into royalties in kind by way of Bitcoin. And there are a myriad of other ideas for fulfilling the goals of President Trump's executive order by creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve without expending a single new dollar from the taxpayers.
Okay. And then there's this. You also have Cointelegraph putting this out.
Is the US selling gold to buy Bitcoin? Make sure to follow us for more Bitcoin and crypto news. There's growing speculation that the United States government is swapping its gold for Bitcoin. Let's break it down. Bo Hines, a key advisor on digital assets, just hinted that the US could leverage its gold reserves to stack Bitcoin without having to add to its multi-trillion-dollar national debt. Meanwhile, Senator Cynthia Lummis is pushing the Bitcoin Act of 2025, which proposes using gold-backed Federal Reserve certificates to acquire Bitcoin. And get this, Trump just signed an executive order to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve, officially adding Bitcoin to the US stockpile. If this is true, this initiative could be the biggest movement in monetary policy in decades, which begs the question, will Bitcoin replace gold? And if that's the case, is Bitcoin stable enough to replace gold? And what will happen to the value of actual gold? Let us know what you think in the comments.
Okay. And then there's a reason you're seeing it all. It's like a cascading thing.
Remind the American public and investors why you need a Bitcoin reserve at all.
Well, good to be here. I mean, the reason why we need a Bitcoin reserve is that the federal government already owns some. In fact, it obtained around 400,000 Bitcoin over the past decade through criminal and civil forfeitures and seizures. And so the government has to have a strategy for how it deals with this. In the past, the strategy has been simply to sell it in an ad hoc way, almost willy-nilly. And that cost American taxpayers something like $17 billion in lost value. So we want to have a long-term strategy to maximize the value of these holdings. And we've decided that Bitcoin is scarce, it's valuable, and that is strategic for the United States to hold on to this as a long-term reserve asset. So that's the plan with the 200,000 Bitcoin that we believe are in the possession of the federal government. And I say we believe because no one really knows for sure because we never had a proper audit. So that's one of the first things that this executive order provides, that we're going to do a full government-wide audit to find out what digital assets we actually have so they can be safeguarded and moved into a strategy that maximizes their long-term value.
All right. And then you have this, and it's the exact opposite is true from what this guy says. He says everyone eventually ends up in Bitcoin, getting Bitcoin. No, everyone, because it's been designed that way. When I got in this in 2013, you had to buy Bitcoin and then go into other things. Well, once I had Bitcoin and I was like staring at it for a minute, I was like, wait a minute. Why would I own this one when this one over here has scarcity and actually moves money fast, it's cheaper and all this? That's how I ended up in XRP. This clown says the reverse is true.
The longer those people are confused, the better opportunities I get as an individual business owner and two businesses, TFTC and 1031. But I try to, I always have this back and forth in my mind of how selfish is that versus how much we actually put a concerted effort towards making sure that people understand the distinction and the misunderstandings that exist out there. And I've come to the conclusion that you just can't do it. Most people like the shiny thing.
You got to find your tribe.
They're going to touch the stove.
Yeah. And they'll come around to it eventually because ultimately, you can judge a tree by its fruit. And so if they're just getting rotten fruit from the crypto tree and seeing that Bitcoin keeps growing and growing in value, then it's like, okay, maybe Marty was right. Maybe, but I also think, look, you're doing a great job on the education side, right? Like this podcast, TFTC, that's, I think, critical. And it's not necessarily going to persuade somebody who is hardcore on the crypto camp, but there's this big middle, right? The silent majority that they're listening and they're taking into account people's arguments.
Okay, then we've got this. They're saying that U.S. won't adopt the yuan, China won't adopt USD. They'll both settle in Bitcoin. And I said, yeah, they may settle in Bitcoin on the XRP ledger.
The major exchanges did come
because Lightning Network is slower than XRP.
Out, and when push came to shove about the crypto ask.
Remember, when Jack Mallers was declaring a war on Ripple a while back, I went in and got Grok to do a comparison between the Lightning Network and the XRP ledger. And the Lightning Network has one huge problem. There are times when it can take as long as, I think it said 10 to 30 minutes for a Bitcoin transaction, even on the Lightning Network. That ain't gonna work, folks. Not gonna work in any world for major financial stuff.
Said stockpile. Cameron Tyler Winklevoss, Brian Armstrong, Jesse Powell. They came out and they said it should be a Bitcoin reserve and there should be something else for crypto. What do you think that was a natural kind of motivation? Do you think they meant that and they believe that? Because obviously they've funded a lot of the experimental projects in the crypto space as well. What did you make of that moment? Because it did feel like a bit of a rare moment of unity for Bitcoin.
Yeah, I thought it was a really nice example, basically a beta test of what will happen over the coming decades globally with all governments and all people. So basically the Nash equilibrium, the only thing that they can all agree on is Bitcoin. Cardano doesn't want to see Ripple and Ethereum in a reserve, and Ethereum doesn't want to see Ripple and Cardano in a reserve, and around they go, because they all think the other guys are scammers that printed their token and gave it to insiders.
Yeah. But the 4 Satoshis, that's not a scam. Even though the government knows who they are, that's not a scam.
So they're okay with Bitcoin, but not each other. And that's very similar to what you'll see down the road where the USA is not okay with the yuan and isn't going to adopt it. And China is not okay with the USD, but they're both going to be okay with Bitcoin, and that will be global settlement. So in that respect, I think it was nice to see it play out in...
What if XRP was what if the XRP ledger was decentralized and they didn't have to trust the other party?
a microcosm. And I think that's how it will play out, layer after layer of global economies and society over time, is that Bitcoin is the Nash equilibrium. It's the one thing that everybody can agree on.
Listening to these guys is amazing, the level of ignorance. Speaking of ignorance, this is how to explain Saylor's Bitcoin strategy to a fourth grader. And I said, and a fourth grader may actually not smell the BS.
How would I explain it to a fourth grader?
From the kid.
I would say to a fourth grader, there are two things you can own. One of the things only goes down in value. One of the things only goes up in value.
So now he's telling investors that your investment only goes up. That is crazy.
Which of the two do you want to own?
It's crazy.
And I would expect a fourth grader to say.
Imagine Brad Garlinghouse coming out and saying, "You listen, XRP is only goes up in value." Some of the things these people say, you wouldn't hear come out of Brad Garlinghouse's mouth in 1,000 years.
I would want to own the thing that goes up, not down. And then I would say, good, that's correct. How much of the thing would you want to own that only goes up? And I would expect the fourth grader to say, as much as I can. And I would say, you're hired. You're Michael Saylor. Because that's all he's doing.
Well, apparently GameStop investors aren't buying the BS, because the shares dropped after they said that they planned debt issue to buy Bitcoin. So somebody out there, like grown-up investors, not kids like Jack Mallers, but grown-up investors out there apparently don't like that business model. And that's the fact, Jack. And then finally, here's something, well, yeah, I'll play it. Here's something I can agree with. Folks, from the time I got in this, it took me a while to figure it out. But all the ICOs on Ethereum, not all, but most of the ICOs on Ethereum, then you had the NFTs with the cartoon monkeys, and then they shifted from Ethereum to Solana, and in every one of those instances, what you had is these VC puppet masters behind the strings. And those VC puppet masters have a network of major influencers. And I believe that most of these influencers, a lot of their presence has not been organic. It's been built up through all of their media connections to anoint these people as major influencers. I think that's the people in this network. I think that's what they are, and it's a lot of the big ones too. And these people have allotted all of themselves massive amounts of tokens. Then they create a marketing program. They go on shows. I've watched this for years, and it's shameful what they do, but they've done it. He and I agree on
So
this.
first, let me say something you may not expect
it's not low-level people. I'm talking major, high-level people.
to say, which is one, the crypto game, you can make money in it. And two, it can be really fun.
Definitely did not expect you to say that.
The people who make money and for whom it is fun are the people that are playing a different game than people that are trading coins on Pump Fun or, exchanges or whatever. That is not how crypto is fun. What's fun about crypto is that it's it's basically like a money-making MMORPG, a massive multiplayer online role-playing game. And the game is to get closer and closer to the most inner circle of a pump and dump. And so there's always people that are cultivating extra circles outside the inner pump and dump crew. And so you might,
Litecoin, there was a certain,
so you might think you're in the insider Telegram group. Then you find out there's actually an insider Telegram group, and that the second one that thinks they're insiders is actually second tier influencers, and they're actually exit liquidity. And so you work up to the next one. And then finally you do enough favors for some people in there that you find out there's actually a Discord group, which is the inner circle. And at the top of it, you finally find out that it's like a few VCs and they're actually just on text message or Signal or something like that. And they're actually orchestrating the entire thing. So they're actually, there are little cabals of small groups of people that orchestrate these things. And then there's concentric circles outside of that. And what happens a lot of times is you'll get, let's say there's like an insider group that has a few hundred people and they have a few $1,000,000 each or whatever. And they'll be groomed for like 3 or 4 projects in a row. And just like people in prime real estate, they have their biggest trade on when they get absolutely wrecked. And so what happens is they groom, the 4th concentric circle, and they give them wins on 3 or 4 projects in a row. And then they're like, oh my God, this is the flyer. And then that's the one where they rip everybody's faces off. And so you're constantly in that world trying to figure out, like, am I really on the inner? Who can I trust? Who can't I trust? And people will just like absolutely act like they're best friends and then turn around and just dump on them, because most of these people don't even know each other in real life, and they're kind of just online handles, and people don't really know who they actually are. So that's what the game is. So that actually is addictive for a lot of people, to try to kind of socially hack how to get up to the, kind of the top of the pyramid, because the shit rolls downhill from the top of the pyramid, and they want to be able to dump on everybody else. And that's kind of that.
I can't even count the number of times that people have tried to approach me for this kind of stuff. I've never participated in it, never would participate in it. I can't believe these people are able to sleep at night. Now, we're going to go into DAIXRP.com. There's another BlackRock XRP ETF rumor that's been put out there. And there's some other stuff we're going to talk about. You can go to DAIXRP.com, or you can go below this video, click the join button on YouTube if you'd rather join through there. If you want to get the extended videos and no advertising on the whole video. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Away we go.